Welcome to Paranormal Heart Podcast with host Kat Ward. Welcome, my friends, to Paranormal Heart Podcast. Tonight's segment is pre-recorded, streaming on United Public Radio Network, 107.7 New Orleans and 105.3 the Gulf Coast. I'm your host, Kat Ward. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with us. A formal disclosure, Paranormal Heart Podcast is for entertainment purposes only. All information shared in this podcast is not professional advice, and the views and opinions expressed on Paranormal Heart are not necessarily those of the show host, network, or producers. And Paranormal Heart Podcast is always respectful and courteous to all involved. So tonight, I'm very excited. My special guest tonight is from the Navajo Nation. Don had an early connection to the mystique. Over the past 8 years, his passion for the unknown has driven him to explore the paranormal and search by evidence of Bigfoot, delving deep into the region's stories, landscapes, and legends. His investigations have taken him into encounters with a diverse array of phenomena, ranging from little people, lizard men, and goat men to the infamous skinwalkers. Alongside these, he's explored paranormal occurrences, such as gargoyles and mysterious portals that defy conventional explanation. For the past 3 years, he's had the privilege of collaborating with renowned researcher William Jevning. I'm so sorry, Will. Further on honing his investigation skills and expanding his understanding of these phenomena, his work is dedicated to bringing ancient lore with modern exploration, shedding the light on the hidden and unexplained narrative woven into the fabric of the Navajo Nation and beyond. So please help me welcome Don Yazzie. Hello, Don.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Kat.
Hello. I'm sorry I butchered up that intro. I just tripping over my tongue.
Oh, it happens. It's all good.
It does. Yeah. So it's so nice to have you. I have to thank William Jevning. I had him on the show a couple of times just recently, and he mentioned you and said that you would be a good guest. And he reached out to you, and here we are. So thank you very much.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. Was hiding for a minute.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd hop on and do Will a favor and say hi to everybody.
I appreciate it. And you're getting some recognition too, because you're on Michelle DeRoche's show as well. So good for you. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. I had a blast on that one.
Yeah. Like I mentioned to you earlier, the chat just loved you. So that was that was a good show.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all the support, everyone out there. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully we can continue having some more fun here.
Definitely. So before we get into everything, could you just tell the audience how did it all start out for you? Like the paranormal and everything.
Oh man, it's just a part of who I am, who we are as a people, individual to tribal. We live in a very magical area, a very mysterious area, and a lot of people say that it's in the grid lines. There's a grid, so Navajo Nation's right on there. There's other people say that there's regional powers and all that stuff, and Navajo Nation is at a central one of them areas. And oh, man, it's just I can't. It's just we just grew up in it, and I think us being Navajo, we know that there's a spiritual side of everything, and us being there and subjected to a lot of the spiritual activities that take place in the night or daytime. And it's a area where the spirit realm and the physical realm exist together in harmony most cases. Strangely. There's a lot of I can't there's a lot of there's no answers for it right now, but I strive to seek it with the camera in my little team, and just catch all the unexplained things that I seen and what we all seen here. I know I'm not the only one that's seen these.
So is it everyone in your area who has had this experience, or is it special people?
Not everybody. It's usually the people that either spotlight all night, run around at night, people that party at night, to people traveling, even non-Native American people that are just on the highways, and
Hmm.
they would see spirits, they would see Bigfoot, they would see all kinds of unknown cryptids. And you know, we have this national monument called Four Corners, and not too long ago there was these Chinese tourists. They stopped this Navajo Nation police officer, and they asked him like, "When's the next time is the show gonna run again? We want to see the show again." And the Navajo Ranger, Navajo PD, like, what are you talking about? What show?" Like, we've seen a whole bunch of half men and half horse, and with the babies, they came around right in front of us on the Four Corners where Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico is. They said there was a herd of centaur that were right there, and these Chinese people were watching them. They're playing, and they ran down to the San Juan River. And those Chinese were like, "When's the next show again? We want to take pictures." We didn't take pictures because we're at awe. We didn't know you guys have these
Wow.
magical beings here. We
Yeah.
want to know. So that stories just go back to that. Seeing the centaur, and my wife and her brother. Seeing one drink out of a spring. And there's a lot of strange events that take place a lot.
So did these tourists realize that there were actual creatures, or did they think it was like actors in suits?
I think they thought. I have no idea. These guys could barely speak English, and
Oh yeah, I guess.
I think maybe they seen something like that where they're from.
Yeah.
They got their own Bigfoot too, the Yearn, I believe
Yeah.
it's called. So yeah, they come out here, and they'll ask a lot of questions as well.
Hmm.
Every little thing, and they're pretty cool. And I think maybe the special people get to see it, maybe not. I have no idea on that part. It's just very mystery to me.
Hmm.
And like my family, we've encountered a lot of things, and people ask, is your family targeted? And it's like, probably, maybe not. But every one of my family has stories to tell.
Hmm.
Everything from seeing Bigfoot to the Dogman type to seeing an ET, seeing a giant bunny rabbit shaped into a alien, the alien grays running off,
Wow.
and seeing the
Yeah.
Men in Black right in front of my grandmother's house. And the story goes on. The mystery just keeps getting thicker, and a can of worms after another can of worms while you're
Yeah.
going down that rabbit hole. Once you go
Definitely.
back, there's no turning back.
Yeah. Wow. It sounds like a real hot spot in that location.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
is. You're enjoying the sun as it's going down, and you're also making sure you have enough ammo for the night. you know,
No
you don't know
kidding.
what's going to come around at night.
Yeah. Wow. Do you remember the first time you had an encounter with Bigfoot?
Yeah, when I was 18 years old, actually getting my eyes on there. But as far as I can remember, just hearing something trying to get in my great grandmother's trailer. The house, seeing shadows from the full moon. Seeing a huge, like a canine being, a huge one on 2 feet. Looking in from the window, and hearing screams and hearing the dogs outside getting torn up. They'd be leading the dogs away. They'll be taking the livestock. We're like a grocery store,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it's not only our family, it's multiple families around the reservation. I
Hmm.
think it's because we live on the San Juan River as well.
Hmm.
San Juan comes out of Colorado, goes into New Mexico, goes into Utah, into the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
So it's a traffic route.
Hmm.
So like the Bigfoot here in Utah, southern Utah, St. George, would go down to Grand Canyon and make his way back up towards Colorado through the Navajo Nation. So we got
Hmm.
tracking multiple Bigfoot across Navajo Nation, and these things are, we don't know how many they are, but there's a lot of them for sure. And there's different types. They all don't look alike. They're all different colors as well.
Yeah,
From
I was
red.
going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The older they get all white, and they don't travel that much. They stay in secluded areas, and you'll
Yeah.
find their kill pile. They like to eat horses, while the younger ones would move down to lower elevation to like
Hmm.
to the San Juan River. In the springtime, they would go back up, and like pinon would be available. We have people picking pinon and selling it by the weight, and you would have a Bigfoot out here stalking the women and children and taking the women that are by themselves. So a lot of times the Navajos would just go right off the highway. They wouldn't go further into the forest because they would get taken. And
Yeah.
these guys will open the door, and every non-white person that would be on the Navajo Nation PD or Navajo Ranger will follow them around and ask them what they're doing.
Mm.
And the last thing they will tell them is, make sure you lock your door because there's a Bigfoot coming around checking the doors.
Wow.
So yeah, we got so these Navajo Nation police, Navajo Nation Rangers, EMT, firefighters, all of them. I have witnesses, from all fields, even the health workers, bus drivers. The bus drivers, I think they see more. They're subjected to more of it because it involves kids, and it's really touchy subject there because these
Yeah.
things go for the kids and try to take them in some areas. And my sister almost got taken as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
How old was
yeah.
she?
She was like around 11 years old, 12 years old. She was walking to the bus stop one morning, and this was before the sun was coming out really early.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she seen something really tall, looked like a black hood, like the dome. It was getting closer. She was observing it. It was zigzagging coming towards closer to her on the pavement. She's saying this thing was going fast, and she was watching it. This thing had looked like it had a hood. She said this thing had long black arms, like really long black arms, and this thing was running towards her, and she started running back home. And she was looking back. This thing was getting closer and closer. She got to the door. She opened it. She ran in screaming. My uncle, he met her. She told him what's gonna happen. He ran out there with the bat, and this Bigfoot was like 3/4 of a mile up on a mesa already on top. He was up there watching, and he disappeared over the hill where I ran into my first Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And those hills back there, locals say when you go behind those hills, you will hear a woman screaming like bloody murder all the time. So the locals stay out of there. And that's where I led my family back there. That's where we got stalked by Bigfoot. And he tried taking my cousin. And yeah, so it goes into 2007. This was the era of the droid. Remember the first phone, the old droid phones, Motorola?
Yeah.
Quality's not great. So only one of us had that cell phone was my uncle. He's an underground driller, for the mine. So he was the one that had that phone, but the quality was poor. And he had the really bright flashlight. And it was 12 o'clock at midnight. They just got back in from Nevada. So they raised off the reservation. And every time when they come back, we go spotlighting. We go hide and go seek all night. And woo, we got stories, good stories. They started calling them and all our families the Yanni Busters. Yanni is short for Yana Dloshi, so they call us the Skinwalker Busters because we ran into skinwalkers a lot. And one of the scary stories is they were looking right at a cedar tree with the spotlight. At one of the nights I wasn't there, but all my family were there, younger than me too. They shined the spotlight by this tree, and my uncle, he grabbed the spotlight. He pointed the spotlight higher up above the tree, and what they saw was a dog man, a werewolf looking being hunched over the tree, showing them its canine and was drooling. And it was because they're in a pickup truck, and the pickup truck was full of kids and little kids. They're all spotlighting. We all had spotlights, and we were going 4 in the boonies. And that's what they seen, and they got chased home. This thing was jumping over the truck, throwing dirt and rock at them, followed them like about 15 miles all the way to my great-grandmother's. While they were getting chased around, back at my great-grandmother's, we had family camping out there outside, and another Bigfoot was walking towards them screaming. This is over 9 feet tall, all black. And Navajo culture is whenever Bigfoot comes to you like that, screaming, he's going to eat you. He's either going to scream when he hunts at night, he's going to whistle. they're conducting hunting. So you never whistle at night because the skinwalker is going to reply or Bigfoot's going to come for you. And that's one of the names for the podcast. One of my
Yep.
co-hosts came with as well. So we ran with it. Don't whistle at night. So it's every Native American tribe knows that. So that's
there's some other cultures too. Like I know South Korean, they say don't whistle at night, especially if you happen to be in the graveyard, because it'll attract negative spirits.
ooh, yeah, that's yeah. And another thing is like we have the northern lights that come down, and when you whistle, the northern lights will come all the way down to the surface and go search for whoever's whistling.
Now that we get northern lights here too, that would be neat to see that.
Do that and record it and send it to me.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man, and then we'll see what happens when a Native American does it. we'll get every race. We'll all whistle, see who's going to come for
it. Getting back to the Bigfoot for a second. So you said there were red ones, and then we can go to the other ones too. But I was just wondering, you because I interrupted you. You said there were red ones and black ones, and what other colors?
Blonde,
okay,
buckskin, burgundy, all white when they get older. So they change when they get older.
Okay.
And like a lot of my witnesses say, when they scream, the younger they are, the higher pitch they are.
Okay.
Like how we are, when we scream,
the
older we get, the deeper our voice gets.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing. And everywhere across the reservation have family members going outside and going, oh, loud as they can. And he would answer back in the river, wash, the creeks, the canyons, the mesas, everywhere. This guy, bunch of family units. There'll be groups of 9 to groups of 3 to 4. It's always a mom and dad and 2 babies or 1 baby. Roaming around. And these babies are blonde or red, and they have sticks, and they play with sticks. And they speak Navajo too, sounds like an old person, raspy voice.
Oh, that's interesting.
I got witnesses from Apache reservations to Navajo nations that swear they speak Apache and Navajo.
Oh, wow. So depending if they're, how can I put this? Depending where they're located, they could speak a different indigenous language?
I believe so. I have witnesses that, I have witnesses, a witness that came to me just a couple of days ago from Tohono O'odham Reservation, which is outside of Tucson, Arizona, on the border of Mexico. They're down there. So, they live right in the yucca, or in the cactus, my bad, in the cactus forest. So, so like all these tribes are reaching out to me, so which is pretty amazing that this guy is everywhere, and he has many names, and every tribe has different stories, and just imagine like how we can all just share stories about him and how amazing that would be. And we do learn a lot from him every time. And like investigating him, it's scary, but it's very informative and very amazing. It never gets old for me.
And I feel it's important for everyone to share their stories and legends and experiences and put things together. And you might be able to find answers to some questions that we've been asking for generations. So the Bigfoot, how do they look like? Do they all have different features as well?
Yeah. Some witnesses say they look more like men, and some say they look more like a gorilla, an ape, to cavemen, and some ranging from more of a dog man looking with the snout and ears. Yeah, but one of the things that they all have in common is they have no neck, and they're wide, and huge eyes. So like it's easy to spot a fake one. Like all these pictures that are online, they come out on the internet. You can tell they're fake. Like that's fake. That's fake. Just 1 second, like nope. But then every now and then a real one comes out. Okay, that looks real, and then I go find whoever took that picture, and then sure enough, it's real. So it's real recognizes real. And then especially being involved, and when you actually like this documentary that is going to come out on Tubi with William Jeveny, that
Yeah.
we shot fall last year. And you'll see on the documentary every logger, pinion pickers, even school kids to gas stations. I was out asking people everywhere, and even the swap meet. Everyone's selling. So I go to one booth, and there'll be 9 witnesses, all swapping stories, and my recorder is just recording everyone saying that they seen them. They jump like frogs. They took this. They tried taking me. One comes and visits, and a whole bunch of stories. So you know, this guy's everywhere on Navajo Nation.
Hmm.
And the thing about it is that we're told to not share. We're told not to talk about it, to speak about it,
What's
especially
that?
non-Native Americans.
Yeah.
It's what like sharing with them. But I think how I see it is that for our culture to keep going, for our stories to keep going, is to share
Mm-hmm.
this for the next generation, because our people, we're well known to be adaptive, to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the new age now, the internet, video, podcasting.
Yeah.
So it's going to be information for for our kids. They're going to take over this land after we're gone, and they're going to be with these guys. And the
Yeah.
more we figure out how to live more in harmony with them, I think that'd be great. It'll be a amazing find of the century, decoding Sasquatch.
That
That'd
would
be,
be amazing.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's important for future generations to see all this, and it might help them understand these creatures. And like you said, be able to live in harmony. That would be amazing.
Yeah. The first time is we're so the Sasquatch people, there's we have this friend that's worked for the government. His NDA is gonna end soon. He worked for the government for his whole life. They even know about there's more than 23 different species of Sasquatches. And then from our culture, the same thing. There's more than 20. There's more Bigfoots. There's not only one. And
Hmm.
they almost ate us all at one time in history. All across the continents, they have their own Bigfoot, and they almost ate us all. So
Yeah.
we had two warriors that went on the offensive with a bow, and it shot out lightning. And these guys went on the offensive and chased them deep into the canyon systems, cave systems of Grand Canyon. They chased them all there, but they had pity on them. They let them live, and we made agreements with them. The night times for you to conduct your hunting, gather whatever edible, anything you need. Fish, berries, whatever. At the night's your time. We
Hmm.
won't cross over. We'll respect you. The day's our time.
Hmm.
We always had that mutual respect. And then coming to the Navajo Nation, this guy is well known to take a kid when they're sick, and he'll bring them back a few days later. They're okay. And he'll take another sick kid and take them away a few days and bring them back. They're okay.
Hmm.
So, we call him Yeito, and then the other one, there's other names that we call him. And one of the honorary names is the Hairy Holy Man.
Hmm.
Yes, because he helped us out a lot. Even the genocide days when United States cavalry and all our enemy tribes turned on us, and even our own people turned on us. And a
Hmm.
lot of us here on the western portion of the Navajo Nation, we had to go into hiding. We hid from Bears Ears monuments all the way through Grand Canyon and all the way back up into the mountains. So we're second place in hiding seat champions. Bigfoot's first place
Yeah.
for sure. And, we have stories for days of him helping us out. The enemy soldiers would be camped out around us, and Bigfoot would come scream around their camp all night, screaming bloody murder, while our people would make a getaway at night. This guy would, have our back, and
Hmm.
this one mountains and the Chuskas, this one family, this band up there, they couldn't take all their kids because they had physical deformalities. They couldn't run, they couldn't hide, and if they take them, they're gonna get slowed down and they're gonna get captured or killed and
Hmm.
sold off to Mexico. So what they did was they put all the kids in one hogan and lit the fire. Had the fireplace and food to as long as whatever they can leave behind. and they couldn't take him. They left him, and they went play hide and go seek for 8 to 9 years. They came back, and they're expecting to find their bodies in the Hogan, and they're getting closer to home, and they seen fire, smoke coming up, and they started crying. They just started running. They got into the Hogan. They found all the kids that they left behind. They grew and they're healthy. They were well
Oh.
fed. They seen the fireplace, the fire is going. They seen the soups being right over the fireplace. Soup was being cooked, and they had food all over the place, and berries and water. And they're okay. They're like, How is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing this? Who's taking care of you? Who's protecting you? They're crying, and the kids answered like, it's the hairy man. He brings food for us. He brings water for us. He brings firewood for us. He builds the fire for us. When
Mm-hmm.
we get sick, he takes us, and he brings us back a few days. We're okay. Then when the soldiers and the enemy warriors come around, he chases them all away. It's he's involved. He's woven with us in our culture very,
Yeah.
very thick. And I'm gonna get in trouble for sharing all this with you.
Oh,
I'm not supposed to share.
oh no.
Yeah, we really revere him. Navajos
Yeah,
and Apaches, and I wouldn't doubt all the other tribes as well. We all revere him.
I can understand why. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he's a really interesting character. My favorite character to investigate because I can't put my thumb on him because I don't know
Yeah.
if he's good or bad, but he doesn't think like us. He doesn't care what we think of him.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so you got all these so-called experts, and he doesn't give a crap. He doesn't give a crap.
It's like, think whatever you want of me.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead and do what you want to do. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm gonna do. Type of deal.
So
No
some
one's gonna stop
people, exactly. So some people think that Bigfoot is alien, and other people think they're primates, a long lost branch. What do you think they are? What do the Navajo think they are? Just another people, or
Yeah.
yeah?
Children of the night, the humans of the night. They're
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit quicker, smarter, faster, bigger, handsomer. I was good. I don't know. But they smell better than we do. Yeah, they're the from my encounters and my investigation, these guys are the perfect apex predator, if you ask
Mm-hmm.
me, because everything, the evidence, and it just goes on for days that this guy's actually kind of scary, and a lot of my own people, they don't want to go after him, because he's gonna give them nightmares, and um, they say that if you follow him, he's gonna carry you away like a baby, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's gonna take you underground, deep, deep underground, because down there's clothing, there's moccasins, there's weapons, there's toys, there's bones from all different periods of time that they take down there. So no one's gonna find you ever. And if you do research to this day, look at all the modern caves and look at all the people missing. They're like, it's just a match. So something
Yeah.
take the lizard man lives down there. The ant people live down there. The centaur lives down there. We have a whole bunch of creatures, like 5-foot spiders live down there. The little people live down there. We got stories for days. If the rake, the white back of the moon monster,
Yeah.
he drags his cows down there and he eats them.
That's wild.
Yeah, down there. Just think of probably 3 Dallas Cowboy stadiums stacked on top. That's how tall these ceilings are. And this is like a huge, gigantic building, and it's scary because the deep dark will do something to you. I used to play in the mouth of the cave as a kid, and that's one of those caves that Bigfoot took. Every day I would go over there to that cave with the sticks, make my own weapons, like I'm gonna fight a dragon in there. not knowing Bigfoot was in there. There
Yeah.
is a lot of times where I'd freeze and stop and stare into the darkness of the cave, waiting for something to take me. And growing up with not much growing up in poverty, being at that cave was really nice and cool in a hot desert. So it was
Yeah.
my favorite place to play and hang out. And not knowing it was a uranium mine pit as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of things.
Holy cow. So do all these creatures live in harmony? Like, do they all get along?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe so because in this there's a separate wash that a portal opens up from noon, and no one stays later till evening time because no one
Hmm.
doesn't want to know what comes out at dark because it gets
Yeah.
scary. There's a huge hairy bat that crawls out of that portal. Pterodactyl comes out, pterodactyl dinosaur. And you got
Hmm.
these gnome looking things, they come out. So this portal opens and closes. This whole wash it opens. When it opens, the outer line, see like this circle here?
Hmm.
So just imagine it being a rainbow color. Then the inside here is maroon to black. And these things are coming in and out. In the
Hmm.
Navajo, the portal is called the Rainbow Bridge. That's how we say portal in our language,
Okay.
the Rainbow Bridge, because some of our clans came through the portal from the last destruction of the world from the portal. And there's an area on Navajo Nation that's very sacred. It's a portal that we all know. It's a portal, and these little people, they come in and out of that one. That's their portal.
Hmm.
So those guys like to pick on kids and women. And they'll show their teeth. These guys are dressed like real Native Americans, but they're small. They're
Wow.
wild. And yeah, they also one of the things how to find them is there's a tree. Lightning strikes a tree. We're told to stay away from the tree. Don't go near it. Don't touch it. Because I always ask them why.
Hmm.
I was asking my grandparents, my great grandparents as a child, talking. While all the kids are playing away, I'm asking the adult, why? Why?
Yeah.
you know, and so they finally told me that the little people, that's the entrance to the world. Lightning strikes a tree, the lightning goes inside the tree, and then creates a hollow entrance into the ground. And these little people take it, and they come
Hmm.
up from there. And we found the tree on the Navajo Nation, my kids and I, and we leave food there. And they're telling me, leave this there as a gift. I was like, no, I got these throwing knives right here. Let's see what happens. I threw this
Oh.
throwing knife at the tree, and the knife disappeared.
Oh, wow.
I was there with my two kids and two of my niece and nephews. We all threw a knife at the tree, and I swear to you, it disappeared. We
Wow.
went spirals. We dug around the earth, everything around it. We can't find the throwing knives, and it
Hmm.
disappeared into that tree. So that tree is the little people. If you go into that tree, you dig into that tree, and it's an entrance. You crawl in there, you go into their world. They're never gonna let you come back out.
Yeah.
And we have stories of that from the Crow natives. That man, they took a baby, and he's never been seen again. But every now
Hmm.
and then, he comes out, and he tells his people that he's down there singing. He's making sure that the grass is green, the rain falls, the animals come, the balance of life continues.
Hmm.
The same thing with us. We had these a long time ago. These Navajos were hunting, and this young boy got separated from his hunting group. And these Pueblo, they were the spider Pueblo tribes. They started hunting him. They started running him down. He was running from the Henry Mountains, the Bajo Mountains to Navajo Mountain. He made it to the mountain, and these guys were still chasing him. And as he's running, he started running after this rabbit, and this rabbit told him, "Follow me." So he followed the rabbit into the rabbit hole. He went in there, he crawled in there, and he got into this cavern, and there was a fire, and there was a badger, there was a I think it was a wolverine, a skunk, coyote, and a rabbit. All five of them are sitting there. They were teaching him all these songs, the chants that we still sing to this day. And they say, all right, you learn all these songs, now go teach them to your people. And he came back out to the surface. I think it was 9 generations past.
Hmm.
He went back to the area where his family comes from, and they found out that that was his siblings' generations. They were there. That was them. He's been gone for a long time, and he
Yeah.
was still the same age. And every now and then he comes back, still to this day, on Navajo Nation, teaching
Hmm.
or giving a message. And he goes back into the earth. And there's like similar stories like that in different communities where a young man would be taken or he'd disappear. He'd come back years later again and saying he's going back to the little people and he has a job with them. So, that's some weird little people stories. And I had a lot of witnesses too that say that they get like, well, they're herding sheep. These little people are up on the ridge line with their
Mhm.
weapons, following the women and children all day, and they're horrified. They're horrible looking.
Hmm.
So this really, like my witnesses, comes from a mother and son, 2 different times, different decades. Same things happens to them. So I don't know if it's just a family deal or I think it's all of Navajo Nation. Just depends when and where.
Yeah. It would be interesting to find out if it's just the one family, or if it's everyone.
Oh, I think it's everybody.
Yeah.
Since starting this podcast, I'm getting a lot of people that seen little people, different corners of the Navajo Nation. From Bigfoot, little people, gargoyle, to Centaur, to seeing the Navajo deities. Our Navajo gods running around that are over 12 feet tall, but their
Wow.
bodies is giving off light when they're running around.
Yeah.
Like these kids are running in cross country. They're practicing running in the desert, and they look back and they see this giant thing running after them. All the kids are running scared, and this thing's chasing them for miles and miles. So
Hmm.
we got stories like that, and even people. Oh, but you got any questions? Sorry,
No,
I'm
keep
just
going.
going
I
off.
just every time I think of a question, you answer it. So
Well, I'll just give you some time to if you have anything.
no, so far you've answered everything I was going to ask. So please
Oh,
keep
okay.
going. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like you're
Well,
reading my mind.
yeah. Um, like for the story going back to the Centaur, when I had to be like 15 years old, and I had three of my little cousin brothers there jumping on a trampoline, on the Navajo Nation, and my aunt. I wasn't there that night. Um, my aunt was there with her kids, and some relatives were there, and so my cousin, he was 11, and two of my other cousins were 7 and 8 years old. All three of them were jumping on a trampoline around 11 o'clock at night. And my aunt, she yells from inside the octagon. She's like, "You guys better come inside. Skinwalker is going to take you guys." And the two younger ones, they all jumped off right away. They ran inside. They're scared, right?
Mhm.
Then the older one, he's just like, "Ah, yeah, whatever." He's jumping, doing a circle. He's jumping. And that area, we have water. We always keep the water trough full because we got a lot of feral horses or domesticated horses and
Mm.
donkeys. We give water to everybody, so
Yep.
all these animals will come from miles to get a drink. So that's what he thought he heard, because he heard a horse coming, coming in, and he was making a circle. He looked towards the hogan, and then in the darkness, he said that he seen a red glowing eyes and a white face coming from the darkness that was pretty high up, like over 9 feet tall. He said it was coming. The porch light of the hogan is facing towards him. The trampoline's right here, and this thing is coming from the darkness, and the lights casting away towards him. But he's seen his face and the eyes come right, and this thing sounded like a horse, and it came into the light. You see, he saw the body torso of a man, had no shirt, and he said he seen the face was all white pink, and his eyes was red and huge eyes and black hair, real thick black hair. and this thing was walking towards him. He jumped off the trampoline to the porch. He said the whole time his eyes was on this thing, and this thing was walking up the ramp towards him. He got to the screen door. He said this thing was coming towards him. He says all the horse was a black body, like the lower black body, and he was trying to open the screen door. He said his eyes was on this thing. Finally, he said he used all his muscle, and boom, he opened the door. He fell in. He was screaming, and my aunt, everyone dragged him inside. They closed the door, and this thing was screaming outside, doing like a native war cry. And it was running around the house like a horse, fast. Everyone was inside. They turned off all the lights, and there's just one vehicle driving down the dirt road, which is a half a mile away, 3/4 of a mile away. And my aunt, she yelled in Navajo, "Why don't you go bother those guys? Leave us alone. We're just nothing but women and children here. Go bother them." This thing, they heard this thing gallop towards that car. They understood what she said. That car, as it was cruising down, that car stopped for about 5 minutes, they said. And then that car peeled out. And it was hauling butt down the dirt road.
Yeah.
And here he comes again, galloping back to them. And it was doing its screams around the house. It was kicking the door. It was bothering them. I think it was all night. And then, like, even to the stories, another part of the reservation, this lady, I have a friend, he has a YouTube account. And I'm trying to get him on my podcast. He's a reporter from his area. He's an EMT too, so he's busy all the time. He has tons of stories too. And one of his stories, a lady came to him. This is in Chinle, Central Navajo Nation. So there's this real big wash. And he said that this one lady, she was going jogging at this one wash. It's a big wash. And she came right up face to face with this centaur. And this centaur, his lower body is buckskin color. Then had an upper torso of a man, and his skin color was darker than mine. It was like more maroon. It was more maroon color, and his hair was jet black. His thick hair, and his eyes was black. He had big eyes, and his eyes was all black, and he had yellow face paint on his face. And I guess he looked at her, he jumped up, and he ran into the wash up the hill. He stopped, turned around, looked at the lady, and ran. Yeah, and then another story too, a Navajo Nation police officer. He thought he was chasing a skinwalker with a centaur running in the wash. The same one, probably the same wash. So we have, and then my brother-in-law, different part of the Navajo Nation, they went to this spring, where natural spring. They're out there like around 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. They're out there at the water. They heard this horse coming up. And then her brother told her, "Close your eyes. Don't look at this. Don't look at this." She did. And this thing was standing there for a while. I guess her brother was quiet and it ran off. And he told her that it was a half man, half horse. He comes down here and drinks at this time of night every other night. They like to come out at night only. And especially in the full moon too. So there's a lot of strange things that come out in the full moon. So our people tell us to stay inside in the full moon.
Wow.
And like if you're out and about in the full moon and you're in a community, that's how you would find a skinwalker. Because a skinwalker is a Navajo man that practices black magic, witchcraft. So he's out looking at the moon. His eyes is white in a full trance, chanting something with the moon. So that's how the people that do the dark work, that's how you will find them at night, at full moon. Could be your own family member.
Yeah. And you've seen skinwalkers, right?
Oh yeah.
Often?
Often hear them outside, trying to get into your vehicle. You'll see some pieces of your hair missing. They'll cut your hair or your clothing. They'll take it back to their cave where they have pictures of you, or they have your clothes or your underwear. Anything that's of you, it's in your own pile. It has your name. And then they have another person's belongings here. And they go there, they curse it. They do all kinds of ritual things to it. That's not good.
Not good at all, no.
Yeah. Like first time seeing one, I was 13 years old. I remember I was 13 years old because I just hit puberty.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was tough. I hit growth spurt and, I was
Yeah.
feeling strong and, testosterone and everything. And
Yeah.
we're half of my family's Christian and half of my family's Navajo traditional. So I was with the other half that were Christian, and they have this camp meeting tent deal going on. And you know, the family role there, if you're a male, your role is to stay at that tent at all costs, take care of it, because the skinwalkers come in, they go to the center and they do their dirty deeds there. And they go to every seat and curse it. And they go to where the preacher stands at the pulpit. They go right there and they curse the pulpit. They say this preacher is going to start being a womanizer. He's going to cheat on his wife. He's going to leave his wife. He's going to, they curse like that.
Yeah.
This person's going to go crazy. This person's going to be an alcoholic. This person's going to be a drug addict. This person's going to be a murderer. He's going to hurt women, so that they do things like that. The power of darkness is real, but so is power of light. God, He's real. Seeing all those the spirit realm battle in front of you is another element. I got stories of exorcisms, but
Oh wow.
yeah, it goes on. It goes on for days. But going back to my skinwalker, 13 years old. A lot of our family members were at the tent, and we're planning on where we're gonna go spotlight, or where we're gonna go hide and go seek, or what we're gonna do tonight, because we're gonna stay up all night and take care of the tent, and we're gonna have fun while we're doing it, tell scary stories, a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
And I walked outside the back of my tent with my uncle. He was probably 4 years older than me, and I had another relative. He was 1 year old. We walked out the back. This was 11 o'clock at night. The moon was full. It was a bright night, and we walked out the back of the tent. We're conversating with each other as we're walking, and I heard my grandpa's old early '90s single cab white Chevy pickup. Remember how the shocks, you jump off, you hear that? Yeah, you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard that. All three of us looked that way, and we seen a skinwalker. His upper body was a male torso, and he had a lot of jewelry on, rows of jewelry, sterling silver, and he had sterling silver rings, turquoise rings, and bracelets going all the way. And he had a coyote pelt on. He had the coyote pelt on, and then his face was white. He had no shirt on. On his body was those cross symbols and strange different symbols that's sacred. And then he had a Navajo blanket on the outside, and then his lower body was coyote body with the tail, and he was 2 to 3 feet off the ground. He jumped off the truck, and he looked like he was underwater as he was coming to the earth, slow like a glide. And he stopped. He was looking at us, and just like that, like a yellow lightning, gone. You just heard like a bullet flying by your ear. That's how quick it was, and a bolt of light, like flash, went by. That's what we seen. And I turned around. I was by myself. My uncle left me.
Yeah, just leave you. That's great.
Yeah, I turned around. I was like, "You idiots! You just left me!" I ran after them into the tent. I got into the tent. Everyone was doing a huge dog pile. Everyone just went boom, because they both ran in. They said, "Skywalker!" And then the youngest family member, she was a year younger than me. She was skinny. She was tiny at the time. Sitting in the pulpit, everyone just jumped on her. Everybody jumped on her, and I was the last one coming in. And I was just like, dog pile. I jumped on the very top, and I was on top trying to crawl, and everyone's like this. And one of my aunts like, "You guys stop!" She was an older teenager at the time, and we heard everyone got off the dog pile, and the youngest family member, she got up and she's like, "It's you!" pointing at me. I'm like, "What? I was the last one. I was very top of the dog pile. I saw everyone jump on you. What are you talking about?" And she still hates me because of that to this day.
Oh, oh, gee.
It's all good. It's all good. But it was funny. It was really funny. It was that was my first time seeing Skinwalker, and you know they would come around every other year. They'd sneak into the tent, like we'd be all talking, you know, telling scary stories, joking around, and this wind breeze would come, hit you in the face. You're asleep. I don't know how they do it. Everybody's asleep. That
Hmm.
breeze hits you. But whoever is hiding in the sleeping bag, like my two brothers, they were young and they were scared. They're in the sleeping bag. They didn't feel the wind. There was like probably 15 of us all camped out on the pulpit. Everyone fell asleep except those two. They were hiding. And
Oh,
they said that we're laughing and talking, and all of a sudden, quiet. It was dead. They said that it was just quiet. And they heard what they said was like an old man walking into the tent because the echo of the tent. This tent's huge. It's a huge revival tent. So
hmm.
they said it sounded like an old person walking in, struggling with the cane, walking in really slow, and it screamed so loud, very unnatural scream, like a
Hmm.
woman being gutted right there, and the echo and everything. This scream, I jumped up on my knee, and I had a flashlight. I was like probably 19 or 20 at the time. I turned flashlight, I turned on the light, but the problem is I couldn't open my eyes. My eyes was open, but my eyes was or my eyelid open, but my eyes was rolled back and I
Yeah.
couldn't roll it down.
Oh, wow.
And I barely got it to open and focus, and I seen what looked like a gray, like a teardrop,
Hmm.
like I was like this,
Yeah.
like that, like a gray, like an egg right there, probably 4 foot, 3 foot wide, 4 foot tall off the ground.
Hmm.
And it looked like it had smoke around it, like a cloud around it. And I was looking at it, and we had one Labrador that was camped on to our north, and we had a Rottweiler that was on the south. Because these two dogs are really smart. They got into fights with skinwalkers a lot.
Oh,
They fell asleep too while this thing is
it's
screaming.
wild.
I don't know how many minutes this thing's screaming. Minutes.
Hmm.
I was just looking at it, and the dogs woke up and they started running towards it. When they got towards it, this thing gone.
Gone.
Yeah,
Wow.
gone.
Did they
And
chase it?
everyone, yeah, they came back. Yeah, they chased it.
Hmm. Hmm.
They came back after like probably about 50 feet. They came back because they know they're not going to catch whatever that was.
Yeah.
And everyone woke up. We can't explain that part, but they use a lot of magic in the wind. They blow powder in your face. That powder
Hmm.
they would make from a dead person's toenails,
Yeah.
fingertips, teeth, and like different parts of different animals to use for different reasons. Like if they would want to seduce the hottest chick at the at the community, they would go and get a young buck and hit with his testicles. They would do some strange rituals with that testicles. And they would go to that girl and shake her hand, and she'd be at his place at the end of the night.
Oh, wow.
So just strange, weird magics like that.
Powerful magic.
Yeah,
Yep.
careful. Don't shake their hands.
Yeah. No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. So,
We have a few minutes left. I just wanted to touch on how did you get to first meet Will Jevning?
oh, you know, from those Bigfoot experiences, I didn't even think it was Bigfoot until 2017.
Mm.
You know, listening to podcasts finally. The first podcast I listened to was Sasquatch Chronicles.
Yep.
And everyone's experience, everyone just mirrored mine and everything. It's just like a light bulb. That was Sasquatch. That was
Mm.
Bigfoot. And I found that William Jevning started his own podcast. He stood out from the Sasquatch Chronicles as someone that seemed really knowledgeable and that could help me conduct my own investigations and my own study because I was only doing it myself at the time. and
Mm-hmm.
I have some scary stories investigating. And he started his Creek Devil, and I reached out, and that's the first time I ever came on a podcast was Creek Devil, and the rest has been history. And he taught me so much, like how to track and how to find signs, and we both, this coming documentary, we found a lot of amazing evidence.
Wow.
He's real recognizes real. That's one of the phrases that I'll say. So
Yep.
he's stood out for me compared to all the other so-called experts.
Is there a name for the documentary yet?
Uh, our producer is almost done. He just needs 4 more hours to edit.
Okay.
So far, the documentary could be named Bigfoot on Navajo land.
Okay.
Just
Um,
we don't want to name it Navajo Bigfoot because we have a lot of tribes that might throw a hissy fit. So
gotcha.
we're just put Bigfoot on Navajo land.
Okay.
Just so you don't want to get anyone pissed off for some reason.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing that when it comes out. And you said it's going to be on Tubi?
Yeah, it's gonna be on Tubi.
Okay. I get Tubi.
Oh, yeah, it's free.
Yeah.
Everything's better when it's free, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna see me hopping in and out, investigating, asking questions, and
Yep.
so far this documentary is gonna be so much different than he ever worked on. He said this
Mm-hmm.
documentary is gonna be very personal because it's on Navajo land, and you know, it's gonna start from where I started off in the story, at my great grandmother's,
Mm-hmm.
the fireplace and them trying to come in. And then it unfolds to all the Navajo people seeing them in their own stories. And, it's, it's, it's amazing. All of us seen him. All of us have stories for days. And, that's one of the reasons why I started my podcast, Don't Whistle at Night. So
Mm-hmm.
I can bring, the Navajo voices and Native American voices out there because, for so long that we're confined to the reservation. Like if I want to see you, if I want to hear you, I go over there. But I'm gonna be over here, so I don't want to see you in poverty. I don't want to see you suffering. You just stay over there and die. Well,
Oh.
this podcast, it's gonna be like I'm a reporter. I'm reporting from my neck of the woods. This is how it is being Native American. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not. It's just not about wearing a feather, going to the powwow. No, it's about being there and struggling without electricity, without running water, being, seeing uh abuse,
Mm.
being 13 years old fighting against 30-year-old men. It's life's not fair. It's tough.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
that's one of the reasons why the spiritual side is really high on Navajo nations because it could be a mixture of poverty, and there's a lot of spiritual things,
Mm.
alcohol, drugs. So
Yeah.
all these things play an effect. And when you play Ouija board on Navajo Nation, that's another level of craziness. And I did that.
Oh,
Woo!
no.
That's a scary story. Don't ever play Ouija board on Navajo Nation. Don't you ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I was 15 years old and I was stupid.
Well, I would definitely love to have you on again because I know you have so many more stories to tell. So, yeah, I invite you to be on again because this is amazing. I thank you so very much, Dawn. I thank you for sharing all your stories. I hope you don't get in trouble.
I didn't share all of it, but definitely will get in trouble. And that's
uh,
okay.
so, can you tell the audience where they can find you?
You can find me at I'll send you a link.
Mhm.
The podcast is called Don't Whistle at Night.
Mhm.
And I do have a TikTok, Facebook, YouTube channels. It's called Lele Nalka. That translates to mystical investigators. But as far as the
Oh,
podcast, it's
yeah.
Don't Whistle at Night podcast.
Excellent. And I know you have 2 episodes out so far. I saw the first one. It was amazing, and I really look forward to the second one.
Oh yeah, the second one dropped, and right now I just gotta start editing the third one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be some cool stuff.
And Thomas, the guest, yeah, I've had him on too, so he's a good guest.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
have him back on. We're gonna
Oh,
talk
good.
more about the little people.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna have another guest from the Navajo Nation. She's gonna share her stories, her and her brother's stories on their encounter with the little people as well.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have another guest, Apache police officer that's seen gargoyles, Bigfoot, and skinwalkers, and more Navajos with lizard men experience and Bigfoot. So I have a lot of good things coming up. So stay tuned.
Sounds like it. Yeah, I really look forward to it. Well, thank you so very much again. Much love and light to you and your family, and you take care.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you to my special guest tonight and UPRN 107.7 New Orleans and 105.3 the Gulf Coast. Remember, if you enjoyed the show, please support us by liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. And as I always say, another way to help support the show is by grabbing some swag. If you'd like to pick up your very own Paranormal Heart Podcast mug, just like this one. Sorry for those of you who are only listening via audio, you can't see it, but please reach out to me if you want to get your very own mug at paranormalheart13@gmail.com. Until next time, take care of each other. Much love to you all.